Today on Extraordinary Explained Flower Manipulation. Imagine controlling the very substance that builds civilizations from the inside out. What if I told you that the powdery substance sitting in your pantry right now could be transformed into a defensive shield, a surfing platform, or even a weapon? The humble flower, overlooked, underestimated, but potentially one of the most versatile powers you could ever possess. Let's start with what flower manipulation actually is. Also known as matadokinesis, or simply flower control, this ability allows the user to create, shape, and manipulate flower in all its forms. And we're not just talking about the all-purpose variety in your cupboard. We're talking about every type from wheat to rice, coconut to almond. Think about it. Flour exists in virtually every home and restaurant across the planet. A flower manipulator walking into a bakery isn't just entering a business, they're walking into an arsenal. The particles are so fine they can float in the air, meaning a skilled practitioner could literally surround themselves with a protective cloud of manipulable matter. But the applications extend far beyond just moving flour around. A true master could control the very properties of flour-derived products. Imagine hardening bread into impenetrable shields, shaping cake into precise structures, or even surfing on a wave of flowing flour across vast distances. The mobility alone would be extraordinary. Looking at historical mythology, we find mentions of Eunostus and Promeleia, Greek deities connected to flour mills. While they weren't described as manipulating flour directly, their divine connection to this substance hints at the ancient understanding of flour's importance and power in human civilization. Now, how might someone acquire this power? Perhaps through prolonged exposure to specially cultivated grain fields, or through an accident in a flour mill where the ultrafine particles become infused with one's cellular structure during a freak electrical storm. The mechanics likely involve manipulating the molecular structure of starch and protein components within the flour. One fascinating application would be in nutrition manipulation. A flour manipulator could potentially adjust the caloric and nutritional content of food, making healthy eating a breeze. Imagine turning a simple cake into a protein-packed, vitamin-rich superfood without sacrificing taste or texture. For self-defense, a flour manipulator could blind opponents with flour clouds, create solid dough constructs to trap adversaries, or even detonate explosive clouds of aerosolized flour particles. Flour is surprisingly flammable when dispersed in air, a fact that has caused many mill explosions throughout history. But no power is without limitations. A novice flour manipulator might be restricted to manipulating only existing flour sources, rather than generating it from nothing. Your effectiveness would depend entirely on your environment. Powerful in a bakery, significantly less so in the middle of a swimming pool. When comparing to similar abilities, flour manipulation is a specialized subpower of broader powder manipulation and a variation of wheat manipulation. While seemingly more limited than elemental powers like pyrokinesis, its advantage lies in its ubiquity and unexpected versatility. People rarely see flour as a threat, giving the manipulator a strategic element of surprise. Ethically speaking, a flour manipulator walks an interesting line. They could revolutionize food production, potentially helping address world hunger by enhancing crops and food preservation. Conversely, they could sabotage food supplies or cause significant harm through suffocation or explosive flour clouds. As with any power, the moral compass of the wielder determines its ultimate impact on society. So next time you're baking cookies or walking past a bakery, take a moment to consider the extraordinary potential resting within those humble sacks of flour. Would you use flour manipulation to become a culinary revolutionary, creating impossible delicacies? Or perhaps you'd become a surprising combat specialist with techniques no opponent would ever expect. The possibilities, like bread dough, can be stretched in countless directions. If you like this video and would want to see more, please like, share, and make sure to hit that bell icon so that YouTube knows that you want to see more.